And it is. Good morning, everybody. It's such a thrill to see all of you here. This is, as you know, our newly, or, in the process, revamped community meeting. We have listened to you on the survey. We've made some changes, which we on the RAC and management are excited about, so hopefully they work. We can always tweak some. But first of all, we will have a meeting in September and November. So through the rest of this year, it's going to be every other month. We'll see if that works. And we think it will, but we're open to other options. And we will always try to include senior management people. As you see here, we're very blessed to have Sherry Robinson, who is the officer from LCS over operations, and we're excited about that. Ty will be speaking, and we're going to do Q&A. We have some pre-submitted questions, which we'll address first, and then as time allows, we will do the ones from the floor. A couple of things I just want to say. I'd like us all to show the appreciation to Carl Schaefer and his wonderful gardening team. You can't help but... You can't help but notice the beauty that's around here. And Carl said he didn't need to speak, but I wanted to recognize that we're all benefiting from that. The other thing I just wanted to say, I have two unspoken heroes, Kathy Creighton and Jim Griffiths, who pick up the money every Friday from Coffee Chat. They are so gracious. It's put in an envelope. It's safe and secure. So I wanted to thank them both, too. All right. With that, sorry, I can't walk away from this thing. With that, I'd like to invite Ned Surginis up here to start us off with the invocation.
Welcome, community members and management. Let's bow our heads. First, let me thank you on behalf of all who have gathered here today, O gracious God. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health, and we need to fulfill our callings for sustenance and friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you, or not, for the freedoms of our own free will. Thank you for loving us even so more, and from your boundless and gracious nature, and bless our agenda to be fruitful and for the common good. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Ned. Very well spoken. And now, to start us off, we'll have our pledge led by our veteran, Tom Clare.
Please stand if you can. Join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'd like to invite Emily Gann. Up here we have a very concise opportunity to recognize our June and July employees who have reached the peaks of what we all love to have. So with that, Emily will lead them off.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to go ahead and invite any of the employees of the month and the rookies of the month to join us up front. So I see Jackie. What a fine looking group, right? All right. So we're going to just go through some really quick recognition. This is really important for all of them. And as I just start to say and explain, who you are, or just go over some information, if you would just step forward so that the group knows who you are, okay? So we have Clarissa. She is a CLS assistant in our healthcare center. She's made such a positive impact with the CLS team and works to ensure that our residents enjoy their stay in the healthcare every day from a CLS perspective, which is like an activities perspective. Another Rookie of the Month for June is Whitley Alexander. Whitley. So Whitley joined in April of 2025 and established a quick, strong, trusting relationship with the residents, and Whitley is one of our LPNs. Thank you for everything you do, Whitley. For Employee of the Month for June, we have Jackie Shannon. Jackie will step up. Jackie is our resident services assistant. She joined us in January of 2024. She was awarded Employee of the Month, as I stated, in June. We appreciate all of her ongoing support and dedication, particularly in the area of HR. Deanna. Deanna is a caregiver, again, Employee of the Month in June. You can see that AL sweeped it a little bit. And Deanna started in November of 2024. She consistently receives positive feedback from both residents and fellow staff, earning her the Employee of the Month award for June. So thank you. Now we're to July, and I'm sure you'll recognize this gentleman, Tyreek Hicks. He is not here today. He's in class, which is where he should be, right? And he is a server. He began employment with us in April of 2025. Tyler's brief summary to me was that he's a valuable asset in the dining room. And, my understanding is he's, courteous, he's professional. His demeanor is just so, helpful and supportive, and he really goes above and beyond to deliver. So please, acknowledge him and definitely congratulate him for being Rookie of the Month for July. Another Rookie of the Month for July is Rebecca. Rebecca is a caregiver in our memory care, and you essentially, Connie had shared that you're celebrated for your unwavering compassion, which speaks volumes, and the commitment to the care of the memory care residents. So thank you for everything you do. Next, for Employee of the Month for July, we have Sandra Zamont. Sandra is a super employee. She started out as a housekeeper, went to lead. Now she's the supervisor of healthcare. And, quote, from what I understand, she makes everything beautiful over there. So appreciate everything you do, Sandra. And then last but not least, we have Lillian. I do not believe that Lillian is here today. She's one of the hardest working, most sincere CNAs over in our healthcare center. She shows up ready to tackle whatever assignment she's given. I did want to mention she is a Cypress Village Scholarship recipient, and she's making her transition from being a CNA to a nurse. So we're so excited for her. And one of the directors had sent me at the end of their summary of acknowledgement of their employees, it was actually the Assisted Living Memory Care Group. I'm going to sum it up for all of our employees, rookies, employees of the month for June and July. We're sincerely grateful for the hard work, their heart, their dedication of each of these individuals that brings to our community every day. Thank you for making a difference. Thank you.
We are so grateful for all of you, of the recipients of these awards, and for the compassion and the joy and the help you bring to this community. One more round of applause. Okay, now we have some business. We have Chris Westmoreland, who you may know from the other last meeting and stuff, is now the chair of our nominating committee, and she wants to give you some updates. Thank you.
I am so grateful for our Resident Advisory Council. They're over here. They give of their time and their talent every month. They meet with our leaders in the village to make life better for all of us. Now, they run for 2 years. Then they can run for another 2 years. After that, they have to rotate off, which brings us to today. We have 4 positions to fill, and I feel sure there's some people in this room that would make good candidates. Let me talk about the requirements. You have to live in the village for 1 year, and that 1 year from when you move in till the elections in August. So that's the first one. You have to have some IT abilities. You have to be able to use Word and email. You have to be willing to serve on one of the committees, and they are activities, dining, facilities, healthcare, and veterans. You don't get to choose, but you're going to be assigned to one of those. So that you have to be willing to do. Also, you should want to work with a team and not have your own agenda, and you will be having several meetings each month. Now, if you're interested, or if you think some of your neighbors would make good candidates, you can let me know, or the fabulous members of my committee. Kate Chambers is not here. Tom Clare in the front. Stand up, wave. Yep, okay. Kathy Creighton, I see in the back. Janet Allen, are you here? Okay, well, you know who she is. And Jim Griffiths, are you here? Yeah, okay. So speak to one of us, and let's keep this good thing going. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We have a great chair and a great committee. Please have an open mind and open heart. It's a great job. By the way, I'm finishing my 4th year. With that, I'd like to invite the chair of the dining committee, Jim Wagner, over to give you an update.
Morning to each of you. Can you hear me all right? Good. I'm going to be very brief. Important meeting today, and so I don't want to take up any more time than necessary. I want to tell you about 2 things that are going on with the dining committee, and the first one I'm going to be relatively pithy about. P-I-T-H-Y, all right? It is this. The dining committee was asked to consult by dining services and or administration regarding a dress code for, yes, for Lakeside. Now, my understanding is that this has been a long-standing issue. I will tell you, so you won't be disappointed, that coat and tie are optional. That's as specific as I will get, all right? Now, the second thing I want you to know is that I personally hope that for the rest of my term as chair, which will go through, or at least through October of 2026, that we will spend a considerable period of time looking at some key issues and their impact on dining. The first one that I hope we start with, we might not, because we'll start talking about it during this July meeting a little over a week from now, would be staffing. To begin with, you should know that I'm a 100% believer that dining may be the most unusual service that all of the residents participate in. If one person likes the meal,
you can count on somebody else not liking it. That's a guarantee. And all of the people who are in dining know that, and the dining committee knows that. So we try to pay as much attention as possible to these core issues. Now, I mentioned staffing. But our goal as a committee is to be as understanding, as supportive as we can be, while doing this under the flag that has in capital letters, advisory. We do not make decisions. And I wake up every morning and remind myself of that, right? I think that's all I want to say. I'm going to assume that I have each of your well wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. The information, which is very brief, it's just a few items about the new guidelines for Lakeside. Should be on the app by now, I believe, but definitely there were flyers, will be put out, it'll be in the weekly update. And all I ask is that we observe them and not put our staff in any embarrassing or difficult situations. They're very simple. Just let's observe them and not put anybody in an uncomfortable position. Second thing, I neglected one of the wonderful suggestions we had to ask everyone to put their audibles on silent, okay? Your watches, your phones. I was supposed to mention that as soon as we got in here. Probably, maybe all of you did it anyway. But anyway, so please do it if you haven't done it. With that, we have myself for the treasurer's report. Should be on the back of your agenda. So as you can see, in May, we ended with $1,105 and some change, and we collected $97 from Coffee Chat, and the Honesty Box had $11. Bless my heart. We've never had that much in the Honesty Box. So it's been a long haul, I guess. Anyway, so we're at 1202.57. And just for those who perhaps are new and don't know this, that money is donated and used to our scholarship fund and to our employee appreciation fund. It's not, buying lunch for the RAC or buying lunch for anybody else. That's what all the money's donated for. Of course, we must keep $500 in there, otherwise the bank will charge us money. So that's sort of not available to distribute, but we always want to distribute, especially around the donation times, to both of those worthy organizations. Okay, with that, I have the pleasure of introducing Sherry Robinson, LCS Vice President of Operations, who Ty reports to and has been reporting to her, even under Brookdale, if I'm correct. Right, so we have a good relationship. Thank you.
Good morning. Ty said this rolls around, so I'm going to see if it rolls around. It does. All right. Thank you, Pam. So good to be here. I was excited to get this opportunity to come and talk to you at a community meeting. And Ty, when I was an executive director, I called this meeting target practice. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah. But I live over in Ponte Vedra Beach most of the year. I don't have to be here a whole lot because this team is fabulous. So I think you'll all agree that they really put their heart and soul into Cypress Village. Ty is the mayor here, and when you walk with him, you realize he's, shaking hands and kissing babies, and he knows everybody's name, and he knows something about the staff, and I just love coming here because of that. So thank you for the invitation. I wanted to start out, the team said this would be a good idea because many of you, I guess a lot of you were here in Brookdale days, right? Raise your hand if you were here. Oh my gosh, a lot of you. Okay. So I wanted to start out and just explain a little bit about LCS and the relationship between our ownership and the management group. So right at COVID time, 2020, I was informed earlier in the year before, that we were going to be moving our management group over to LCS, or Life Care Services. And so Brookdale was not really in the entry fee business. They had a few communities that were entry fee, but mostly they had rental CCRCs and rental AL and memory cares. And so Health Peak, which is a REIT out of a real estate investment trust out of Denver, Colorado, owned 49%, as many of you know, of about 18 communities at the time. And so this real estate investment trust decided to buy outright these communities, and they ended up buying 13 of them. And so unfortunately, the ones they left behind at Brookdale were in my portfolio, so I lost a lot of people that I cared about and had served for many years, but was happy that Cypress Village was one of the communities to come over to LCS. And so a little bit about Life Care Services. So just defining, that we are owned by Health Peak, and Health Peak made the decision to move the management agreement to Life Care Services from Brookdale. And of course, Brookdale was amenable to that because they were trying to get out of the entry fee business. And since those communities that I left behind have been sold to kind of onesie, twosie, mom and pop places. And so we're really happy that we were part of the 13 to come over with Life Care Services. I always write notes and then I never use them, so we'll just move along with that. So LCS is a management company, again, hired by Health Peak. I work for LCS, 50 years of experience. I will tell you that one of the really unique things about LCS, and I won't read the slides because you can all read, but is the employee ownership. So I'm really proud of that. It's not a publicly traded company, and we have about 11% employee ownership. And I'm really happy to say that I have invested and am an employee owner at Life Care Services. And so I just love that about the company, that they allow us to be owners. LCS is the 5th senior living company that I have worked for. And I will tell you that these guiding principles, we have several, but I think the most important one here that we want to focus on is we serve the customer first and foremost. And that is really what we live by. I don't have all of these memorized. Of course, I could come up with them if I had to. If my boss said you need to repeat these, I probably could. But we serve the customer first and foremost is the one that we focus on. And so as the 5th senior living company that I've worked with personally in 38 years, so I'm dating myself now, I can honestly say that had I known about LCS earlier in my career, I certainly would have tried to get a job with them. I just didn't know until I was called and told that we were going to work for LCS. It's a great company. They're very good to us, and we're blessed to be a part of that. These awards, awards are awards. I never like to lead with that. But we're happy about these awards that we've been given because they're all surveys from residents and from employees, our team members. And that's really the most important thing to us. And so you see here that we're the most awarded company in history for independent living with J.D. Power. And then Gallup Exceptional Workplace Award, the top workplace for 4 years in a row with USA Today. And then we're an Iowa-based company. Anybody here from Iowa? Des Moines? Okay, so we spend a little time there. Ty spent a little time there. Many of the team members have been there. But that's why you see the Iowa. We are an Iowa-based company. So I'll tell you a little bit of the company history and about the family. I'll tell you about my family. So I shared about LCS, and I'm originally from Kentucky, so that's the accent that you hear. Was anybody wondering? Anybody from Kentucky? That's what I need. Yeah, there we go. So I am a UK fan, UK basketball fan, but Florida is my second favorite team. And so I do have to cheer for UK. You see, I even have a UK shirt on there, I think. So we're on the beach at Ponte Vedra. We're members at the Lodge, and so we spend a lot of time over there at the Lodge. And this is my good-looking husband, Kirk, who some of you actually know. He's been here a few times. And what you see there is a really spoiled basset hound. Her name is Sandy. She does like to go to the beach, and she's a lot of fun. But she's a little crazy. She's not, most basset hounds, you can come up to them and pet them. You can't. She's a biter, so you have to kind of stay away from her. She is. When people say, "Can I pet your dog?" I say, if you don't like your fingers, then you can pet my dog. But she's great, and we enjoy living over at the beach. So this shows the team that supports this community. So you see these people around sometimes. You may not see them. They may just come and support different folks. But there's my picture there. I am the VP of Operations. I oversee 11 communities for Life Care Services. I oversee 6 direct communities and then 5 communities indirectly through another regional person who works alongside me. Jill Sorensen is my gorgeous boss, and so she's been here many times. She's really great to work with, and she's a senior vice president overseeing 21 communities. And then this is our support team. So Beth Grigg is the support for the IHS, for programming. She does a lot of things. She's very funny. She sends a video out to the team every Monday morning, and so I always look forward to that. That's how she communicates with the team. It's great. Cavette supports Emily, and Cavette is our regional human resources, and then Ashley works alongside Cavette for recruiting. So we have a support person who just helps us post jobs on Indeed, helps us find talent when we need it, and so that's the role of Ashley. Amy Wall, wish she was here with us today. She's in Costa Rica on vacation, so I keep getting pictures from her. I'm very jealous. But Amy is the person I spend most of my life with. She's the regional salesperson who oversees every community that I oversee. We work as a team alongside. We're usually traveling together. When you see one of us, you usually see both of us. So missing her this week, and her boss, Kelly Jane Cronk, who used to be the salesperson for here and then was promoted. So some of you have been here a while. You may have seen Kelly Jane. Angela Akey, you will see a little bit more of her later in my presentation, but she's the regional nurse who supports Connie and the team in skilled nursing, Stephanie and her team. And then John Petrangelo is over food and beverage, so he works with Tyler. And Eliza Weatherholtz is the salesperson for the healthcare side of the business, so skilled nursing and assisted living and memory care, working alongside Abby. So I will tell you that when we talk about Brookdale, about half of these people came over. We came over with about 20 regional support team in addition to the communities. And so if I look at these faces, they're all people that I've worked with for 13, 14 years, the same group of people. So we wanted to talk a little bit about hurricane readiness today. So this gives me PTSD when I see this, and every time hurricane season I start to itch. But on October 8th, just to tell you a little story about hurricanes and hurricane evacuation, of last year, I was in Punta Gorda, Florida, where we have a lovely community, Southport Square. I'd spent the night at the hotel expecting to shelter in place the next day because that looked like Milton was going to come in there. Of course, we had Ian in 22 that came directly over top of that community as a category. They called it a category 4. I will tell you it was a category 5. So anyway, I got a call that morning, and the team told me that ACA, our state regulatory agency, had called and said, you must move all of your healthcare center folks out of Punta Gorda. Originally, we had a plan to shelter in place, and we would always evacuate vertically in case there was a storm surge. And so ACA decided, I think because they had had some issues with some communities that had not evacuated in the past, even though we felt like we were safe, that they were going to have us go. And so we moved off to Freedom Square, to a community that was for sale. There were 2 healthcare centers on the Freedom Square campus, and one of those was for sale, and it was completely empty. And so, I mean, there wasn't hand soap on the wall. We went with 211 people and everything we needed to stay there for, 4 or 5 days. And so if you'll go back to the other slide, if you could. So Angie, my regional nurse, and I were charged with doing this. And so we said, okay, started out that morning. I'd had a little experience with hurricanes. When I worked for Sunrise Senior Living, I was the person who had New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. So I had a little tiny bit of experience with hurricanes and evacuations. And so I was charged to go down with Angie. She's amazing. And we commandeered about 6 or 7 Greyhound-style buses and lots of ambulances and wheelchair vans and the community buses from other places. And we started moving these 211 people over to Freedom Square. And I tell you this to say we're ready. So we have in this realm, in my 38 years, of course, and all of the regional folks, if we need to do something during a hurricane or a crisis, I can tell you we're ready. So I called the support team that I needed, and everybody just came around me, and we started moving these folks. Cypress Village is in Evacuation Zone E. Most of you know this. The FEMA flood zone is X. We're at a 21-foot elevation. So we would very seldom, if ever, move from this community. And you're always safer to shelter in place. And I say that through some bad experiences in my career, where we had to move people, we were mandated to move people, and we would have been safer at our place. But sometimes state agencies don't see it that way. So Angie and I loaded these buses up, and we sent box trucks. You can go to the next slide. And you see here, this is also another regional nurse from the blonde looking at my camera, is another regional nurse from another region who came in to help. So lots of people came in. We loaded these folks up on buses. We arrived at Freedom Square, an empty healthcare center, and we began to unload all of our supplies. Of course, we sent a pre-team who were setting up beds and sheets and towels and getting everything ready, and of course, doing all that. So for 3 nights, we stayed there at Freedom Square with 211 residents. I'm happy to say no one was injured. No, we didn't lose anybody. I think we sent 2 residents to the hospital during that time, unrelated to the evacuation, and then we were very happy to get back to Southport Square 3 days later. It was exhausting. I think I slept, 2 or 3 hours in 4 days. But you find your way and you find your energy, and I had a great team around me. And I will say, Cypress Village has a great team here too. And so those employees that you saw up here earlier, I just tie that together with what LCS and these employees bring to each community. But the safety, the commitment, we all work with A teams and B teams. The A teams evacuate with you. The B teams relieve the A team, very happily relieve the A team when we come back to the community. And so I took the healthcare center, the executive director, Ty's counterpart, Brian Hess, stayed with the independent living because the state cannot mandate that we move independent living. And so we moved up. We come down from the top floor. We go up from the bottom floor in these places where we get storm surge. And we sheltered in place, and we were just fine with the independent living folks. So I was telling Ty's story earlier. I pulled in. I was the last one out when we loaded the buses, and I was the last one in when we finished coming back. And I pulled in, and the lady that you saw earlier, Beth Grigg, I mentioned her name and how she sends those videos out. And I was telling Ty and Sarah earlier this morning when I pulled in on the campus of Southport Square that evening when we came back, and they had a big party for the residents, like a luau party. And so when the residents were getting off, they were putting leis on them, and and their rooms were all beautifully, cooled down, and new sheets, and everything was great. And they were having, they had a masseuse there, masseuse chairs for the team to go in and get, the team that was coming off the buses to get massages, and we fed them. And so it was a big party atmosphere to get back home. But when I pulled in, the bus, the Lakeport Square bus, which is down near the Villages, Lakeport Square, was kind of lodged under a tree there at Southport Square. And so I pulled into the campus, and I had asked Beth Grigg to come and help me with about 10 memory care residents, because you can imagine a memory care resident being moved from everything they know on a bus to a place that they've never been to. And many of them were they were declining. I could start to see that. So about 10 of them, I asked Beth to come and get a little bit early. And so Beth came to get these 10. And she's a nurse, so she's not a good bus driver, but she's a nurse. And so apparently she lodged this tree when she lodged this bus when she pulled in under this tree. And so I could see the maintenance guys like cutting, the limbs around this tree. And so I said to the executive director, hey, what happened here? And he said this, which I still kid him about to this day. He said, Beth Grigg coming in hot. Okay. So lots of things happen. There's tons of stories to tell. Every hurricane has a story to tell. I have lots of stories about Hurricane Katrina. That was quite a fun experience. But anyway, well, next slide. The retention, I thought we were going to retention. I'm on the wrong one. Okay, I can talk to this. So modernizing how we connect. One of the things that Sarah and Ty shared with me was that many residents like to know, how are we being more green or paperless in our communication? And you can see many of the ways that Cypress Village does this with the community app. Actually, that was a best practice that started here at Cypress Village and now is in the other peak communities, the community app. Mass text messaging, coffee chat, other virtual recordings, email distributions. And so I will tell you, Cypress is way ahead of the curve on this. You do more electronically than most of the communities do. And so we use Cypress as a best practice. There are always going to be residents who want to get something in writing. They want paper, right? And there are people who are always going to want paper, and we're always going to accommodate that. But I will tell you that Cypress is ahead of the curve on that. We talk about retention, and community retention of employees is so important. You want to see the same faces. We want to have the same faces because it takes a lot of effort. You saw Ashley Lodi before, who helps Emily with recruiting. But we have a lot of best practices that come out of Cypress Village, and I just wanted to recognize this team. It's a big celebration for this team because post-COVID, Ty was getting a lot of emails and calls from me saying, your retention is too low, your turnover is too high. What do we need to do to make that better? And so one of the best practices, again, so this is a gold standard community. A lot of really good best practices come out of Cypress Village that we use in multiple other communities. But one of the things that this team came up with was retention through reconnection. So you're going to see some faces here. Tyler, Marissa. Marissa was my roommate one of the hurricanes. I don't think I ever saw her. I think we just kept missing each other in the apartment. But Marissa was one of my roommates. Joe, Ashley, Emily, who's here, Jennifer, Connie, and Susan, all people who had worked at Cypress Village, had left for one reason or another, a better opportunity, whatever it may be, and we reconnected with them and brought them back. And what a fabulous, you see these faces up here, and I'm like, how lucky are we that they came back to Cypress Village and said, the grass isn't greener outside of here. So we're super happy about that. I didn't share this with the team earlier, but I had Kavette, who you saw, our human resources support, pull some data for me, and she was telling me last night, in 2022, we had 105% annual turnover. So we had positions that turned more than once, particularly in skilled nursing, CNAs. Nurses were so hard to find. We had these agency nurses. We started really focusing on it. So in 2023, that was down to 83%. Still too high, right, Ty? But we're working on it. We're focused on it. 24 down to 66%. And this is a big celebration. I haven't told Ty, but last night, Emily, or Cavett, pulled some numbers for us. Year to date, as of July, 30% turnover. I couldn't be more proud of this team for that. Industry standard 35, 40%, because you're always going to lose people. Dining room servers, you think about affect that a lot because they come and go. But what a celebration it's been, and very unique to Cypress, this reconnection. I want to talk a little bit about capital improvements. And so we know that HealthPeak, our owner, determines our capital budgets. We submit budgets from all 13 of these communities every year, and then unfortunately, myself and my counterparts have the not so fun task of saying, we're only going to get this much money, and so we have to say, what are their priorities? And I advocate for this community. It's my hometown, so of course I want it to be beautiful. I have many, many friends who have family members who live here, friends from Ponte Vedra whose parents have rotated through your healthcare center, assisted living, memory care, have lived in independent living, and so of course I want this place to be perfect. Resurfacing in the main parking lot, I know that was a recent project. The train room, Marsh Media Lounge, that's a great story. Renovating assisted living, the main floor, the therapy gym. If you haven't been to Skilled and taken a look at the therapy gym, it's fabulous. You should go and take a look at that. If you ever have need for that, I hope none of you do, but you will be very happy with the therapy gym there. The fitness center relocation, the techno gym, that is a best practice that many other communities are trying to replicate now. The green roof, and then elevators. Now, I know elevators is going to be a hot topic, so I'm just going to stop there. But I wanted to give you some information. All of these communities are really between 30 and some like 40 years old. And so as we work through the process of upgrading elevators, this year in 2025, HealthPeak will spend $2.9 million on elevator upgrades for 7 of the 13 communities. And so that will continue throughout the years, but it does eat, when you think about capital improvement, and many of you, you're all business people, you didn't get here by accident. And so, you all know the value of reinvesting in a property and keeping a property up to date, and we certainly have to do that. But $2.9 million just in elevators. Of course, when you're spending that kind of money, then that means you don't spend as much on aesthetic things that you might see. And so just realizing that it's not an unlimited fund of funding. And then just looking at a few of the, they went through the pictures. Okay, well, you saw the paving, the train room, Marsh Media Lounge. I mean, I think I was on the phone maybe with Sarah the day that the train room caught on fire, and she's like, gotta go, train room's on fire. And I'm over in Ponte Vedra going, wait, what, do I need to come? What's going on? But the Marsh Media Lounge came out of that, and what a good thing that has been. And carpets and the lobby refresh. I mean, we figured out that we couldn't just do carpeting back in that area and not carry it all the way through. So sometimes good things come out of bad things. The therapy gym and then the techno gym. I will tell you, that's the gold standard. So many of my communities are talking to Ty and his team about that techno gym and trying to get that moving in their community. So my time is done here, and I'm happy to take any questions for myself, or we'll do that at the end? Okay, all right. Thank you.
Sherry, thank you so much. That was good, very enlightening, and just nice to have an LCS director here. We appreciate it. And now for our leader,
Good morning, Cypress Village. We're going to talk a little bit about resident surveys, and as most of you know, we do those every 2 years, and 2025 happens to be the year we're going to have our survey. So I'm not going to look, I'm going to try and manage this the best I can. All right, so, yeah. Oh, camera, sorry, Katie. All right, so let's talk about the resident survey. We have limited time, and I know we have some questions as well to get to. So with that, it really does matter. Your voice and your comments, your feedback really do matter a lot. The opportunity only comes once every couple years, so, don't send me an email. Don't go to Tyler or Dave with a complaint. Really think through your responses on these surveys. They mean a lot to us, and we really take the feedback seriously. This survey period will run from August 19th through September 13th, so we have a little bit over a month to get prepared. And our participation goal this year is going to be 95%. That is going to be very tough. We thought we did a really good job last year, and we came in at 84%. So this year, to get to 95%, we're going to have to do a few things differently. So that is what our goal is. Next slide, Katie. So understanding the resident experience. These surveys are not facilitated, obviously, through LCS or Cypress Village. We have a third party whose name is SendSite, and we just want to ensure that your responses are anonymous and confidential, obviously. The surveys are tailored by level of care, so independent living will include apartments and villas. Equity houses will have their own independent survey, as well as assisted living, memory care, and skilled nursing. Questions for your surveys topics will range anywhere from like community engagement, activities, how management's doing, how we're responding to your needs, communication, departmental service, and basically the overall experience of life here at Cypress Village. Next slide, Katie. Now, why should you participate and be part of that 95%? Because, as I mentioned, this is really more than a survey to us. I really want everybody to know that this really will directly impact your lives on how we prioritize the feedback that we receive from you. When you voice your opinions and thoughts on these surveys, we like to hear the good. If we're doing something good, please let us know. If we can do the good a little bit better, add that in there as well. But if we're doing bad, we want to know that as well, respectfully well. So when your voice, anyway, I'm sorry on that. Survey results will help shape all the departmental goals. So as I mentioned, you're going to have departmental questions. All of the feedback specifically will be tailored into those departments. At that point, we will take the survey results. The quantitative is very easy, it's numbers, but it's the qualitative piece, all of the verbatims that you give us. And it's literally pages. I think last survey we had 92 pages of verbatims. A lot of it said elevators. Not funny, but it did. But those verbatims, how we really take that qualitative data is we get we take it all and then we break it into themes. And the themes are then categorized, and that's how we're going to present the feedback we receive from you and what our action plans are going to be back to you based on that feedback. Next slide, Katie. All right, what to expect, survey details and instructions. This year, there are a couple rumors that I heard. I want to dispel a couple of those. The surveys will be only paper this year. There will be no online option. So be sure to attend one of our survey support events to fill it out. That would be ideal for us because when you come to one of the events, we give you a survey. We check Christine Westmoreland took her survey. Christine turns it back in. We're not going to hunt Christine on the last days to achieve 95%. So anyway, it's going to be very helpful if you participate in those events that we have. Another rumor, there is going to be a survey per resident, not per residence. So each resident will have a survey. This year, where did I leave that? Okay. Okay. Just like voting, we'll have a kickoff event and weekly opportunities like I had just meant. A lot of the details for the survey will be in the upcoming July administrative newsletter. Next slide, Katie. All right, the bigger picture, connecting feedback to action. So as I mentioned, we are listening. The past surveys have already led to big changes and improvements to our dining as well as communication methods. This year, we are especially focused on and preparing for feedback around staffing, elevator reliability, landscaping, and fire alarm protocols. If you've noticed something not working well, this is truly your chance to let us know and be part of the solution. But I do want to use just dining as an example. So if you are taking your survey today and you had a great meal last night and you're in the dining section and you're all real jazzed up about that meal you had and you want to give good grades, that's great, but that's really not what we're looking at. What we're really looking at is what is your overall experience over the last 2 years or how long you've been at Cypress Village. Not that bad experience or not that phenomenal experience, but your overall experience in those areas is really what we're really trying to drill down on. Next slide, Katie. All right, survey, as I mentioned, arrive on the 19th, and we have through September 13th to complete them. We encourage you to bring a friend or a neighbor to one of our sessions. It's obviously a great way to support each other and also help us achieve that 95% goal. And again, as I mentioned, once we get towards probably the last week, if we do not have a survey from you, we will send out an email, a call, a unit leader, a floor leader. Somebody will come out to see if we can help receive that survey from you. You'll find more, as I mentioned, July administrative survey will have all the, newsletter will have all the details. But last slide, just my closing message. I just want to really thank all of you and all of the resident volunteers throughout Cypress Village. It really helps us grow and be stronger and better every year. Let's work together to really hit this 95% mark. I think we can do it. If we work together, we can do it. We're better together. And with that, I'm going to conclude and turn it back over to Pam. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. That was very exciting to hear about the survey. And now we have Lisa Green, which is going to be really exciting when we talk about the road to 95, the challenges that they have because we're such a popular place. It's good
100%.
problem.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to wake everybody up a little bit after that slide about the resident satisfaction surveys. So I want everybody focused. I want a big round of applause because I want everybody to focus. 96.9% in our independent living, and I round, so that's 97% to us in sales. But this is a huge accomplishment. Myself, Tanya, Dana, Charlie, Donna, Lexi, Abby, all of the sales team working effortlessly at always hitting and exceeding our budgets over the last few years. So, Katie, I'm sorry, next slide. So on our road, we were given a task early 2024 to go on a road to 95% occupied. By the end of 2024, December of 2024, we actually hit 95%. We were at 95.1. And then we ebb and we flow up and down. So after the first quarter of 2025, we are now back to 97%. So it's a huge accomplishment, but it's also a huge challenge because to remain there is very difficult. We have 123 families currently on our wait list, waiting to make a move to Cypress Village. And when you look at the slides, we don't have any villas, we're occupied. We don't have any large apartments, we're occupied. We have about 6 one-bedroom apartments that are available for us to sell right now. So the message I want for all of you as residents, because I can't thank you all enough over the course of the years for what you do when you see any one of us on a tour. You're smiling, you're happy, you're engaging with the prospects. And then for those of you that are ambassadors and also involved in Friends for Life, that's huge. It's a huge help. Sherry talked about all of the different ways that LCS and Health Peak give money. Well, that's to the aesthetics. But what people really move here for is you. They see you. We stopped a few years ago. We stopped actually doing sales events, and we partnered with Community Life Services because the residents don't want to hear from us in the sales department or the prospects. They want to meet you as a resident. So we started partnering, and that's been hugely successful. We're not spending our budget dollars inviting people in for large events. We're combining and making your already existing events even better by partnering with Community Life Services. So year to date, we usually look for about 80 Friends for Life referrals. Year to date, we are already at 49. So keep the Friends for Life referrals coming because that is a big way. But I want to definitely enforce that, again, 123 people already on the wait list. So when you're talking with your friends, then let them know. Cypress Village is in demand. Absolutely. We are highly occupied, but everybody's timing is different. So while we may have 123 people on the wait list, not all 123 are ready to come into that one bedroom. They want something bigger. With that being said, we are hosting a downsizing seminar on July 28th. For anyone interested in downsizing, Sarah and I are going to be hosting that here in Egret Hall. And then the other is a lot of individuals that live here at Cypress. You all have a different kind of a contract. So we're also going to be doing a seminar that basically says understanding your contract. What kind of a contract do you have? What does that mean for you? Because we have that full continuum of care. So we want to make sure that everybody understands their contract and how it pertains to their circumstance. So, but again, big applause for the entire sales team, including Abby as well. So, thank you.
Well, I just wrote down that downsizing because I have too much stuff in my closet. I have to get rid of things. Okay, now I turn it all over to Katie Amador. She will be handling the Q&A. She will address those items that have been first submitted, and then we'll open it up. Thanks so much, Katie.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. As Pam mentioned, we are going to address the questions that were submitted in advance first. And thank you to all of those of you who submitted questions in advance. It allows us a little time to prepare accordingly and give you all the most accurate responses. So in the meantime, before our next meeting in September, if you have any questions that you would like us to address, you are more than welcome to email those to either myself or life@cypressvillageretirement.com. But we will get right into it. The first question or concern was about residents not following pet guidelines, specifically dogs or cats passing through the dining areas and non-tower pets entering the building. So we had a resident raise concerns about allergies and the perception that our pet policy is being ignored. So I heard a couple of you, it sounds like this might be something that others have noticed as well, so we will address that today. With that being said, this is something typically Ashley Miller, our Director of Resident Services, would address, but she is out this week. But I do just want to remind you all that we do have a detailed pet policy, and it's designed both for our residents who have pets and for those of you who don't and don't wish to interact with pets, including those of you with allergies, which we do take seriously. The policy includes rules such as dogs must use the closest door to the exit and are not permitted to walk through any dining rooms, and the same goes for cats as well. Pets must be leashed or crated at all times when in public, and again, should never be in the dining areas. There's a pet exit right here outside the dining office, and then there's also ones in the main lobby, so there should never be any reason why a pet is in the dining room area or even walking through that hallway. When violations occur, The first step is a written warning issued by Ashley Miller, our Director of Resident Services. If non-compliance continues, there is a $50 fine that could be issued per infraction. And further action can be taken from there as well if needed. So please, those of you with pets, read that policy, refer to it, and ensure you are following it to not be subject to any of those fines. Additionally, we do rely on you guys as well to report any instances to us, and we also have security that assists with surveillance, and our dining team as well keeps us in the loop if there are any incidents in those areas. Regarding the cat in the covered stroller, per our policy, this is allowed in common areas, but again, not in dining spaces. This has been clearly communicated, and we will continue reinforcing it. And again, if you witness any repeated infractions, please notify Ashley Miller, our Director of Resident Services, or you can reach out to Scott Marquardt in the security office as well, or just let any of us know so we can follow up accordingly. But thank you for that question. I know there has been a lot of concern about that, so thank you. That'll summarize the pet policy inquiry. Next up, we had a few questions regarding maintenance. Is David Green here? Yes, he is. So the first, Dave, is when will shark coating be applied to the garage ramp from the C Tower as previously promised?
I hope you guys like my wife's glasses. The shark coatings request has been submitted for the last couple of years. How capital requests are done is all the directors put in requests to Ty and myself on what specific things they would like next year as part of the deferred capital request. We put a list of usually 15 to 20 items together, and we submit it every year, August, September timeframe, to Health Peak. Health Peak then turns around and approves what they deem to be the most critical things that we need. So the shark coatings for the back behind the concierge and the C entrance and the D entrance were all submitted the last couple of years, and they've deemed that we had other more critical things necessary. So we will submit it again this year, and hopefully we can get it next year.
The next question, can the non-working shades in the loon's nest be repaired so that we can sit at tables during the summer and not be baked or blinded by the afternoon sun? If power shades cannot be repaired, can they be replaced by manual shades?
The answer to that is yes, and we are already working on that. My blinds contractor is trying to find a replacement battery. The company that made those shades is no longer in business, so he's trying to find, and he thinks he can find replacement batteries or a different option to save the blinds that we have. Obviously, manual blinds, replacing all 20-something blinds in the loon's nest and PDR will be super expensive, so we're looking at other options right now.
Don't go anywhere yet, Dave. All right, next question. I understand that there are unforeseen and uncontrollable delays in elevator renovations. But in the meantime, could new floors be put in the elevators to spruce them up a bit?
It can be done, obviously. We would I've asked the flooring guy for some quotes, and we'll see where we can fit it in the budget.
Very good. All right, this is a little more general, but Dave, how often are gutters cleaned?
Upon request. So if you need your gutters cleaned in your house, you call and put it in the work order, and we get to it as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you. All right, and what is covered under the Rupert Landscaping, previously Tree Amigos, contract? What can our homeowners expect?
For each house, it's in the contract to mow, edge, weed whack, blow, and weed by mechanical means or spray. Their exact contract is referenced in Appendix A of the handbook, if anybody wants to get a little bit more specific.
Very good. All right, Dave, and the last question that was pre-submitted for maintenance is, how often is pest control conducted in the houses and in the apartments?
So in the houses, it's quarterly. They come around and spray the exterior of your home. They will only come inside upon request, which is the same way my pest control company works at my house and anybody else I've talked to. In the towers, they are here 2 days a week, and they're spraying the exterior of the building, keeping the kitchens bug-free and that kind of stuff. But if you're seeing any kind of bug in your apartment, obviously call Ashley and she'll put in the work order for them to be here.
Great. Okay, so that wraps up all of our questions that were submitted in advance, but now we still have about 15 minutes left. So if there are any questions from the floor, Kendall, our lovely intern from the University of North Florida, can come around with a microphone. Just please raise your hand if you have a question. And just a couple of quick reminders before we open this up. Please speak clearly into the microphone so everyone can hear you. Try to keep your question brief and focused on community-wide objectives or concerns. And please limit yourself to one question at a time, just so we can get to everyone. And if time allows, we'll come back around for multiple questions. And then lastly, I just want to let you all know something that we've discussed and I think we'll implement is listing all the FAQs that we receive at community meeting in its own section in the newsletter. So you guys can refer back to these questions and the answers and information provided. So stay tuned for that as well. All right, Miss Ellen.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I wanted to know if LCS has any incentives for their facilities to reduce waste and improve, reduce energy use?
There are multiple resources available to the communities for, is there a specific concern that you have? Because there's a lot that goes in that, because there's a lot, like Health Peak, the owner, Dave, has a lot of, I'm sorry? Measurables, yes. As far as being green in our lighting and in the way we irrigate is another incentive that they have. So, and then I think, Sarah, we have a call about Titan Energy coming up. So we do have a company that monitors our utility usage and really works with the teams to try to minimize that and make sure that we're being as efficient as we can be.
Yeah, I guess. So would you give our facility special money if we wanted to build solar panels over the parking lot?
So I will tell you that I call him Mr. Solar, a resident who lives at Regency Oaks in Clearwater, and every time I pass him, he says something about solar panels. So I was with the owner one day, and I said, let's go by this guy because Earl is going to get you for these solar panels. LCS has not had any interest in the solar panel situation or doing that in any of the communities so far, and have not seen the value of that. Although they have multiple other programs, solar panels have not been something that they have seen the value in. So the other thing about Peak, just quickly, is that I said we were about 10% of their business, and the other part of their business is medical office buildings and life science buildings, so nothing but property management. And so they have a lot of experience with property management, and of course are trying to be as efficient as they can be. But solar panels has not been something that they've expressed any interest in.
And not energy related, but it might be someone's question. I just spoke with Natalie, our housekeeping manager, and she is also going to look at putting recycling bins that are currently behind the main lobby on each floor. So she's going to work with our vendor Conex to see if we can get some extra bins for all the floors, yes, to make it easier for you all to recycle. So hopefully, same goal. save the planet. All right, next up, we'll take Miss Jean. I know we've got a couple more. Kendall's going to come around.
Quick question about the survey. We're going to be away for 6 weeks. We get back on September 9. How will those surveys be distributed, and how will we get one and be sure to fill it in?
Great question. We will most likely meet you at your door when you get back from vacation, Mrs. Bland. Yeah. Noted. Well, maybe the next day. Like Ty mentioned, we are going to, while the surveys are completely anonymous and confidential, whatever you guys write in the survey is, we are going to try to track who we distribute surveys to and who turns them in, just so we can kind of have a gauge on participation. So with that being said, like Ty mentioned, towards the end of the survey window, we will start going through that list and working with unit and floor leaders to target some of those residents who maybe don't get out as much or have been out of town, but it'll be a high priority. You will see us. We'll find you. All right, next question. We're working our way up.
Yes, specifically to human resources.
Okay.
Are there any specific initiatives that are being considered to reduce turnover? And I would speak especially to dining services.
I would say definitely yes. At this point, there's multiple initiatives that we've put in place and have been in place. I'll give you a couple examples. We've done the culture committee. We're doing supervisor check-ins with newer staff. It seems that we usually would lose staff quickest within the first 60 days. So we've also circled back, and versus separating, we're retraining, making sure that the team understands what the ask of them is. And then moving forward, we're going to be completing what is called stay interviews, find out why people stay. It also gives us the information that if they're not happy about something, and it's a good opportunity from a resource perspective, maybe they don't have the tools to do their job. It's good for us to know that, to ensure that they have those tools or they know where to find them. And then we are also completing exit interviews.
Thank you. And just another note on retention and turnover. Emily and Sarah will be joining the full RAC meeting, so they'll be meeting with the entire Residents Council a little bit later this month and reviewing some of those retention and turnover statistics. And then after we've done that with the Residents Council, some of that information will get cascaded down to you all as well, so you have a little bit better understanding of where we stand company-wide. All right, next question. Just go ahead. Yep, there we go, Dr. Keith.
Hi, I actually did pre-submit this question. But,
oh, how did we miss it? Go ahead.
I don't know. It's on my phone here that when I returned from a rather long trip in mid-June, one thing that I have noticed since then is that I have not seen a single egret or heron on our big lake. And I've seen hardly any turtles and many less alligator sightings. And I'm wondering if anybody else has noticed this. And I wonder if it has anything to do with the treatment of the lake, which was mentioned while I was gone, I noticed, with also a comment that it wouldn't affect the wildlife.
We use a company called Lake Doctors to treat all our lakes, and we have been for the 12 years that I've been here. They haven't done anything special or used any other chemical, but there's no egrets in my lake at the end of my house either right now, so it might be just seasonal.
I've never noticed that before.
Okay, but honestly, there's plenty of fish in the lake. If you look down from the 7th floor, you can see them. So I'm not exactly sure why they're not here right now.
Well, and keep us in the loop too, Dr. Keith, and others that are out in the community. Like if we start to see that that is a more widespread thing, we can maybe research a little bit more and look into why that's happening. And Ty will ask some of his handy nature men out in the community. Carl Schaefer, where are you? All right, we're going to keep working our way through questions. I've got one here. Yes, ma'am.
When you were discussing the protocol for Lakeside, you did not mention anything about shorts being worn, either men or women.
What is the protocol on that?
Great question. I do not believe, I don't want to, Tyler? No shorts. It looks like there will be no shorts permitted in Lakeside. When I get back to the office, I will make sure that that dress code document's been uploaded to the app, and we will also distribute that this week with the weekly update, just to clarify things. But yes, I believe the answer is no shorts in Lakeside. Okay, any other questions? All right.
I heard several people thank community residents for volunteering, and I wonder if there's a place on the community app where you request volunteers.
I don't believe so, but we could certainly request opportunities to volunteer, Sue Ellen. Okay, yeah, we can definitely look into that. Actually, Roger Arglis and I have a conversation to be had about volunteers, and there's also something in the works with Community Life Services and a possible volunteer program that we've been working on. So that's a great idea, some volunteer resources on the app. We will add that to our list. Yes, great suggestion. Thank you. There you go, Miss Bess. Yes, ma'am.
I just don't want this meeting to go without saying one wonderful thing. I've been here 20 years. I started in a house with a sick husband and went on, and now have a sick sister and so forth. Now I'm going blind, and I have never, in 20 years, I've never been turned down at the front desk with a question. I've always been helped and answered.
Yes.
They are fabulous.
Yes. We will submit some extraordinary rewards points on your behalf, Miss Bess, to our concierge team. They are a dynamo team, so we are lucky to have them. All right, Father Waters.
This is about dining. Presently, we're not allowed to use our points for guests or alcohol, but especially for guests. I'd like to know what the rationale is about that. And also, can it be changed? There are other facilities in this area where you can use your points for guests and other things.
Awesome. Thank you for the question.
So I kind of came on when PCD was already established, but it is similar to that you would have like a one meal per day sort of thing. You are allotted an allowance. That allowance is non-transferable, and that is just something that you have agreed to. The allowance is for yourself, and if you use it accordingly, it should allow for you to dine every single day of the month, every day or every month of the year. The reason we cannot permit for guest meals or alcohol, one would be our license. We are on a social club license. That is, everybody that dines or drinks in that area should be a member of the social club. And then for guests, well, it's just as simple as that the points are not for the guests, they're for you.
So I'll answer that as well, though. So it's contractual. And in order for us, the way it's written into the contract now, it does not include alcohol, it does not include guests. So it would have to be something that, if the consensus was everybody wanted that to, it would have to be a change in the contract. And because we're regulated by the Office of Insurance Regulation, the OIR, any changes to the contract to specify the offerings have to be done that way. So it's a little bit more than just Cypress. It's not Cypress's rule per se, that we say no alcohol or no this. So it's a little more in depth than that, but it's something I can certainly discuss with Sarah if that's a consensus that comes out of dining. So keep that coming to us, and we can certainly see what we can do.
And just one other note and a reminder about preferred choice dining, because I've heard that concern a lot too, but on the bright side of that with preferred choice dining, whereas you would have lost your one meal a day if you hadn't been here or whatever, now those points, you can use them within, your 30-day window. So there is a little more flexibility, but still room for improvements. And yeah, very good question.
Yeah, I live at Equity House, so the dining dollars doesn't apply to me. But I would have thought the one meal a day went out when dining dollars came in, because I know of people who have hundreds of points left over at the end of the month, and they just lose them. So I think that's why the question about using them for guests came up.
Like at least being able to use the points.
To use up their points, yes.
That you don't have. Okay, well, we can certainly continue the discussion. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Thank you.
Well, this is related to the dining points. I'm not sure from your answers whether it's being considered that it can be changed. I mean, there's a lot of people who are very creative about their points, but why should you have to be?
I'm going to invite Sarah Ninya, our Associate Executive Director. She's very well spoken when it comes to answering.
So getting back to what Lisa said, those dining points are supposed to be the equivalent of 1 meal a day. Your contracts say 1 meal a day. They will continue to say at this time 1 meal a day. So just like you can't, many of you have health care benefits in your contract. If you go to the health care center, you get a discounted rate. You can't give that to a guest. If you have a family member who needs to go to our health care center, you can't do that. Our contracts are written very purposefully to encompass a service package. So that's why. It's just like anything else in there. Those services are for you and for you only. They can't go to other people. As far as the flexibility with the points, we started out with 1 meal a day. You use it or you lose it. You couldn't eat it the next day. You used it or you lost it. Now we have expanded your options there to where you can use it for other things. So we've taken the next step. We're progressing. There very well may be progression further with this program into the future, but at this time, we're not going to be able to use it for guests. Flexibility and options, definitely will expand upon that in the future. Look back a couple years to now, we've come a long way. We're going to continue moving it forward, but we can't make 100,000 changes at once. We have to do them progressively.
Another good reminder for your points is we've recently opened up the farmers markets that you can use points at, and they're looking at some other options too for like the instances where you do have an excess of points at the end of the month and would like to spend those on things besides meals. So we'll continue to look at those things. All right, any other questions? Yes, Ms. Sue Ellen.
Is there anything that can be done to boost the internet in the Marsh Media Lounge?
Yes, I got that question last night, and Laurel is actually out of the office, but she did reply to my email, and from what she told me is her understanding is that the Wi-Fi in the Marsh Media Lounge only goes out when we have community-wide outages, which do happen occasionally. I have not been notified, and Laurel has not been notified of any outages outside of those community outages, but we did put in an inquiry with Community Life Services to see if they've experienced any one-off outages in the Marsh Media Lounge. So we'll follow up on that. But Laurel also wanted me to let you all know that she is working on a project to improve community-wide Wi-Fi connection. So that would look like going to a fiber cable system. And she can share more about that in the coming months. But we are going to look into that, Ms. Sue Ellen. Yes, ma'am. All right, we have just a couple minutes left. If there's any other questions, we'd be happy to take them. Yes, one in the back.
I have a question regarding the recent bill that was passed in Congress. It has a lot of health care provisions. I was just wondering if anybody is aware of any of the provisions within the bill that will affect directly or indirectly CCRCs or LCS in particular. I have a sneaking suspicion there's a lot of things within that bill that we don't are aware of at this time. I was just curious as to whether any of it is going to affect us.
Okay. Do you know, I'm not aware of the bill number, or I haven't heard of.
It's the big one that was just passed.
Oh, the big, beautiful bill?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know.
At this time, we have no reason to be concerned with anything in the big, beautiful bill. However, we are members of Leading Age Florida, so they keep up with every bill that's proposed, passed, etc., and they communicate to their members what's going on. Typically, anything that's going to be impacted is going to be in the healthcare center in that world. because they're subject to more federal provisions versus the state provisions that we experience in the other areas. So when there is a change, usually it's in the healthcare center, but at this time, we have no reason to be concerned about the big, beautiful bill. There were some staffing bills, or there was some legislation regarding staffing in the healthcare center that have been a hot topic lately, but at this time, we don't have reason to be concerned about that either.
Flycra's doing the same thing for its EC. They are working with Leading Age Southeast on a group to change the law. Just change the law in January.
So for those of you who are members of FLYCRA, that is a group that residents can become a part of, and Jim up here can speak with you more afterwards if you have questions about it. But FLYCRA keeps the residents informed about things that impact them, and they have certain priorities that they establish every year as well.
All right, well, that concludes our Q&A segment for this month's community meeting. Like I said, if you have any questions between now and September's meeting, please let us know. Thank you all. Pam, any final words, Madam President?
First of all, I want to thank all of the people who participated at the senior level. Let's give them a hand. I mean, they have a few other things to do than to be here for this hour and a half, but we're just so grateful for it and for the information that was shared. Also, I just want to remind you of the next one. It's September 16th. It's in this place, but it's not starting until 10:30. Okay? It'll be 10:30, September 16th, and it'll still be the hour and a half. So that's what I wanted to highlight you, and I know Katie or the newsletter will have that as we get closer. But thank you all. I hope you appreciate it. We'll still tweak what we need to tweak, especially little things that I didn't do correctly. So anyway, have a blessed day and have a wonderful week. Thank you.